The AEG versus the GBBR, a battle that has gone through the ages of airsoft existence, both in the professional, military and law enforcement training world, as well as in the common weekend warrior community. Some hate one while they love the other, and some just hate both. Yes, I know you HPA guys. But the answer to this question is more related to preferences and how you aim to use your gun. And for that we'll answer the question today, AEG versus GBBR. Which one should you go for? Hi everyone, Viper here and welcome to a new video. Today we have quite a big video ahead which was requested from one of our followers. To give you a clear view of what we will be covering today, let's go over a small summary first so you know what to expect. Today we'll first go over our experience and our partners that help us along the way. We'll also talk about the overall difference between an AEG and a GBBR. We'll go over the pros and the cons of both systems, the maintenance required for both, as well as other requirements that come with each system. After that we'll give our recommendation for which system fits what type of person, and at last we'll give you our personal gun recommendation when it comes to these two systems. So that said, let's start off with me and my brother's experience in the airsoft world. We ourselves have nearly 5 years of experience in the sport, but above that we have made some partners with tons of experience as well. One of them is a Belgian shop called Airsoft Doctor that's mostly specialized in the technical aspects of airsoft guns and other airsoft related products. The other one is a Georgian former Special Forces operator known as Instructor Delta from the Delta Survival School. He's our main source for all the things that have to do with training, amongst which handling guns and tactics are some of them. Above that, we're also a supplier that specifically makes quality military products available to the consumer market, mainly here in Europe, with our online store shop.ReconBrothers.com, so if you'd like to support us, that's where you need to be. Now, what did we shoot with in the past 5 years? We have shot low to mid-tier guns, going from a Lancer Tactical to an ICS to a Specna Arms. We also shot high-tier guns like the Tokyo Marui NGRS and even the Ferraris amongst AEGs like the Sistema PTW and the DAS GBLS. Above that, we started a while back with shooting GBBR systems from Tokyo Marui as well. Now, thanks to Airsoft Doctor, we had some opportunities to put many of these systems to the test, meaning a range and grouping comparison test to get an idea on their stock performances. These tests were done to be as scientifically representative as possible, because that's usually not the case with some other people doing these tests or comparisons. If you're interested in these comparison videos, we'll put the links in the description down below. At last, we also had an opportunity last year to shoot with real firearms. Here we mainly shot 9mm and 5.56mm as well. We know it doesn't belong to the airsoft category directly, but it did give us important input on what the differences are. Now, for you guys out there that aren't familiar with these kind of airsoft guns, let's quickly give you an idea on what's fundamentally different between an AEG and a GBBR system. To start off with, the core difference between the two lays in their power source, and while it is quite simple, it does have a lot of implications as well. Let's begin with the AEG, or the automatic electric gun. The system is powered by a battery that's usually located in the buttstock or in the handguard of the gun. Through wiring, it powers a motor located in the pistol grip, which turns a set of gears that move a piston. The piston then creates an airflow for the BB to get shot through the barrel. Now, inside is a quite complex system that requires some tech experience before you can work on it yourself. Also mind that this is the explanation of a classic AEG system, but there are also other more complex systems with additional features that allow an AEG to function closer to a firearm, but they're all based on the same core principle. Let's go over to the GBBR, or the gas blowback rifle. Now, this system is powered by gas that's either green gas or CO2, which is located inside the magazines. Here, gas gets released from the magazine when you pull the trigger, The expansion of the gas creates an airflow in both the bolt and the barrel direction, which creates a recoil effect for the bolt and an airflow for the BB to get shot through the barrel. This system is far less complex and has a lot of similarities to real firearms in functions and in general build as well. Now, as said, the difference in power source also comes with pros and cons, and for that, let's have a look at those now. Again, let's first cover the AEG. The main advantage of the AEG is that it can be used in most weather conditions. It can also use low up to high capacity magazines, which usually don't have realistic weights to them. These guns are highly adjustable thanks to programmable technology, even up to some ridiculous stuff. The FPS output or speed is usually consistent, and generally there are an immense lot of aftermarket parts, since it is the most popular platform amongst airsofters. Usually it has no bolt catch, no empty mag indication, no trigger wall, no recoil, and it's generally also heavier than its real steel counterparts. This has to do with the whole gearbox mechanics that are present on the inside. Now, due to what's on the inside, the weight is also more focused on the pistol grip due to the motor, so the stress on your wrist and forearm is bigger as well. Above all this, taking it apart is mostly a technical hassle, and since it is built with a lot of moving parts, issues are also more likely. Now onto the GBBR. Unlike the AEG, the GBBR features a bolt catch, trigger wall and recoil. It also has a more realistic weight dispersion. Here the weight is mainly located in the barrel and the upper receiver, just like their real steel counterparts. Taking it apart is easy peasy, and it's mostly compatible with real steel parts as well. It does have more realistic weighted mags that only allow realistic capacity of ammo. The thing they do have to deal with though is cooldown, meaning the colder the weather, the poorer its performance. To give you a number on this, about -5 degrees Celsius you'll probably run into the edge of it. So you want to keep that in mind if you'd like to do all year events or even train in colder climates. Although there are some tricks to heat your magazines, and you still can go around that. Also, cooldown is a factor to take into account, especially when you're the type of guy that likes to run on full auto and likes to spray and pray. Another thing that's typical about GBBRs is that they have a slightly less consistent FPS output, which often depends on what you use. Now, all guns need maintenance in order to keep performing and last long as well. But since these are very different systems, they do require attention in different ways. So let's cover those now. For the AEG, you want to clean your barrel on common basis to maintain consistency among your shots. Above that, you either want to go to a shop once a year for a full checkup or do a checkup yourself if you have the skills for it. This because it's commonly known that AEGs don't require a lot of maintenance, which is true, but they still require maintenance, and if you don't take them apart once in a while, you'll eventually break them and it can get expensive to repair them. Now, as for the GBBR, you still want to do the barrel cleaning on a common base, but especially on open bowl systems, since quite some dirt can get inside the barrel this way. Above that, you also want to regularly strip the system to clean and lubricate all moving parts. This requires more work, but it is vital to keep the system running smoothly. Plus, since you get familiar with your gun by doing this, you will also quickly notice if something is wrong and prevent major damages to your gun. Also important with GBBRs is to know how to store your magazines properly, so you avoid they might start leaking, which is a common issue. If you do it wrongly, you'll either need to remove the O-rings and let them soak in oil for about a day and put them back in, or you will have to replace them. For storing green gas magazines, you'll best leave your mags fully pressurized. If you use CO2 cartridges, you best remove the cartridge when storing, unless you'll always use the exact same cartridges. Now obviously, since they are both based on very different power sources, you can also expect some very different requirements. So let's have a look at what different requirements you might expect. For the AEG, above the gun itself, you'll require a battery and a charger. As for the charger, you best get a good one, meaning one that balances the charging, or you'll destroy your batteries over time. The magazines can be low up to high capacity magazines with all their advantages and disadvantages, but in general they are relatively cheap depending on what system you'll be using. As for optional gun accessories, they can be any cheap airsoft version you can find, but in our experience there's a small guarantee they either work properly or even last long. As for the GBBR, above the gun itself, you'll need gas, either in the form of CO2 cartridges or green gas bottles, depending on what gun you'll get. The magazines for GBBRs only exist in low and real capacity builds, since each shot requires gas and there's only a certain amount of space per magazine. These magazines also tend to be quite expensive per piece. As for optional gun accessories, it is highly recommended to get optics and flashlights made for firearms, since others can be destroyed due to the recoil. Also, airsoft optics can already lose their zero due to the kick of even an electric recoil AEG, and since GBBRs kick harder, that will be very likely as well. Above that, it is recommended to get yourself some sort of ear pro. This because they are loud and will start to hurt your ears after a certain amount of shots. You can either get simple earplugs or go all the way up to active ear protection. It's a matter of what you want to spend on them. So obviously by looking at these you will end up with a higher cost for the GBBR systems in general. Now that you're aware of all this, let's have a look at what we from our experience recommend to you guys based on what you intend to do with your gun. For this we'll divide this section in two groups. One is a group that aims for the sportive events such as skirmishes and milsims. The other one is that group of people that aims to use their gun for solely training or combine it with events. Let's first talk about the sportive events group. If you have absolutely no experience with guns in any way, and no video games do not count as experience, we recommend to go for an AEG. This is because you can go a long way in tweaking how you want to set it up and how you develop in the sport. You're also at the beginning of the learning curve, and to enjoy it you'll be better off with a few advantages it provides. Stuff like high cap and mid cap magazines, no recoil and bolt catch you have to deal with, are some of the things that will give you a slight advantage. These can give you a more fairer fight against guys that have done some training and have experience and that are also part of a team like we are. And as said before, it also requires a lower cost to get into the sport with this system. If you set realism as a high priority, we recommend to go for a GBBR. But if you still like the idea of some simple plug and play and don't want to worry about cooldown or prefer bigger capacity magazines, you best go for an electric recoil system. This AEG system is somewhat a nice middle way between the two. These will also be pricier than the regular AEGs, but will cost less than the GBBRs if you consider the whole package. If you do have experience with guns, like real steel range shooting or a military or law enforcement history, we do recommend to go for a GBBR. This, since it has a lot of similarities with what you're used to working with, the only thing it misses is the explosion sound and the smell of burnt gunpowder. Now let's jump over to the second group, the people that will use it for training as well. For training purposes solely, with or without a combination of events, we highly recommend to go for a GBBR system, since the realistic features cannot be compared with most AEGs on the market. It will be a perfect system for dry fire drills and is an excellent cheap alternative for backyard shooting. Just to give you an idea, even Instructor Delta, where we talked about in the beginning of this video, uses GBBRs for tactical classes, since they are such a good alternative. Now that has been said, we do have to take some time to talk about a very special hybrid system that's on the market these days as well. This system is called the DAS GBLS, and it's basically an AEG that has the same functions as a GBBR. It's a quite new and possibly one of the most complex systems out there, and also we have had the opportunity to test one in the past thanks to Airsoft Doctor. Now, to be honest, in overall we are not impressed by it. This is because its grouping was worse than a GBBR, and for the small amount of time we shot it we had two misfeeds that basically crushed the BBs between the gears. Now usually a misfeed is not that bad, but this gun runs on batteries, so what happened was that the motor kept trying to push the gears back into the correct position while they were stuck. Due to that, the thing created a horrific sound and nearly made us shit our pants. And that is obviously something you don't want to have on an €1,800 gun. Yes, you heard it right, an €1,800 gun. Anyway, the gun can take it since it is built of high quality materials, but we'd still rather avoid shitting our pants in the future. Also above that, we've let some ex and active military and law enforcement guys shoot this thing, and they were all not really impressed by how the product behaved. As said before, we also shot real steel ourselves in the past, and to all of us it felt like there's something fundamentally wrong with the recoil. It just isn't right somehow and feels more like an AEG on steroids rather than coming close to how a gun is supposed to behave. So to all of us that held and shot a GBLS, a GBBR is still the system that comes much closer to that firearm behavior. But still, there are people that do believe this is the next best thing when it's too cold to use a GBBR and prefer to run with a quite realistic platform. And for that we can fully agree on their decision. Having that covered, we'll now have a look at what are our recommended guns when it comes to AEGs and GBBRs. Before we specifically are going to mention what guns we recommend when it comes to AEGs and GBBRs, we want to put some attention to what we call low tier guns and upgrades in general. With low tier guns we're talking about your typical entry or economical guns. To put a number on these, usually about under €300 for a gun. We've shot some of them when we started and in our tests, and these guns nearly always have some sort of issues or just perform really poorly. This usually causes people to put extra money in them on upgrades, which do make them better, but most likely you'll end up running a gun that costs as much as a mid-tier gun or more. Also, the upgrades have to be installed by someone, and we know not all shops are equally as good in their tech stuff, so you're more likely flipping a coin on having a good outcome. So in general, we highly recommend to avoid these low tier guns as much as possible. Now onto our first AEG recommendation, which are mid-tier guns ideal for those who want to start out. The gun series is called the G&G CM16, and these are solid performing AEGs, of which we've covered the SRL version in our bootcamp series here on YouTube. We specially made these videos for you beginners out there, so if you want to know more about this gun or want to get some advice for starting in airsoft, we'll put the link of the playlist in the description below. The second AEG series that are more of high tier guns and in our eyes the closest to real steel guns without spending thousands are any of the Tokyo Marui Next Gen Recoil shock guns. We have each been running one of these ourselves for 3 years and they never failed us a single time. They have a great stock performance and were for us the step in between the common AEG and the GBBR, since they do mimic recoil and bolt catch in some special way. It's not the same as how the GBBR or the DAS does it, but it helps to create that awareness of those functions. If you're looking for the very best performance without the need of having realistic features, then a Systema PTW is the gun you're looking for. These are truly the Ferraris amongst airsoft guns with the very best precision and range, and although its performance does not differ that much from the Tokyo Marui and GRS series, every small amount helps in giving you that advantage. Unfortunately, for that advantage you'll also have to lay down quite an amount of money, and here we are talking in the same amounts as the DAS GBLS we talked about, so in the thousands. It might sound crazy, but we know some guys running around with them. Anyway, the very last recommended guns we'll cover are from a GBBR series, and here we highly recommend any of the Tokyo Marui MWS series. We have started to train and run with these in the field a while ago, and they are very solid gas blowback performers. And ever since we got them, nearly all the people close to us that are into airsoft are doing the same thing. We all love this thing, and for us at the moment it is our personal preferred platform, since for us it's more about creating a skill set and the experience rather than just goofing around, and this gun is perfect for just that. Above that, in our experience, GBBRs also provide a much more challenging and fun experience due to the limitations, but we're not going to cover those in this video since we have already shared our thoughts on that in another video a while back. If you are interested in this subject, we'll put the link to that video in the description below. Also, if you are interested, we have done a review on the Tokyo Marui GBBR some time ago, and if you want to watch it, we'll have the link in the description as well. So guys, hope we gave some clarification with this video and you learned some stuff about these two different airsoft systems. Make sure to leave a like and comment which airsoft system you personally prefer. Thanks for watching and we'll see you on our next video.